Welcome back, OPL fans. We are game 2 now of Sin versus Legacy. I'm still Spawn. That's still Aegean.
I'm still Aegean.
Yeah.
I think we'll continue to stay that way for the rest of the day, to be honest. I think that's...
I wish we really wouldn't, though. Do you know...
Well, who do you want to be?
I think Spawn is the worst summoner moniker in
the
world. Maybe only topped in Portus by E-Gym.
Yeah, I'm not big enough to be called E-Gym. I'm really lacking in that department.
Well, gymnast, I mean, some of them are wiry. Like, I mean, how do you go on? Like,
I don't want to. Let's not
stuff?
talk about gymnast. That's a dark past that is not to be touched anymore. That's behind me. As we do want to talk about the game. Let's talk about some League of Legends. Yeah, Sin versus Legacy. But game 1, we're into game 2 now. I think. Back to the game, back to the actual real stuff here. Legacy, the side switch is going to do them a lot of favors there. On the red side, we see a lot of teams banning away the AD carries. We saw the Kalista, we saw the Kog'Maw there. But this game on the blue side won't have to do that. Potentially could attack series. Help series.
Yep, attack Praedyth.
Yeah, attack Praedyth. Yeah, absolutely. In this matchup, it's gonna help them out going into game 2.
Well, to be fair, they attacked him in second round. They did get away from Alawi and things like that, but still wasn't able to come out in the head-to-head. Although I would say Series' team fighting was actually quite good, which is something that you like to see improvement on. The big matchup for me is going to be Bedoink versus Claire, because Bedoink laned actually quite well, but in team fights, was very late to some of those mid-game skirmishes.
Yeah, definitely. But is it Bedoink versus Claire, or is it Juves versus Sybil on the other side? Because Juves obviously got a lot done in the early game and gave Bedoink that lead, which he then kind of failed to translate, I think. He did take a top and then gave Praedyth a kill there, but they just couldn't translate that. Every time they went bot, Raid and Decoy were just doing so well to disengage, and then Legacy just came up trumps with those fights.
So is it get rid of Braum? Braum, in my opinion, in the 2 games of play that we have seen, has been the most instrumental champion on Summoner's Rift.
Yep. I mean, they first picked Ali on Sin.
They did.
Leaving the Braum available. So they obviously prioritized the Ali higher than Braum, but then it just wasn't as successful. When you go for the engages, if it's onto Braum, then you're wasting your CC, you're wasting the damage, your upfront damage onto that champion.
We saw that in one team fight where he had the door up and nearly died through the door, which is hard to do.
Yeah.
Took a lot of damage.
But then if you don't go on Braum, if you go on someone else, go on the Azir or whatever, and then the Braum just jumps in and with the shield in front, you don't even get to damage the Azir. So it just seems like such a problem. I think that's a big point that they could attack going into this next game.
On a 10, how fun is Braum to play?
Not fun at all. 0 out of 10. I played a whole series semi-finals, and all I played was Braum, and I don't know, I'm not a fan. I mean, in saying that, Decoy actually very known for his Braum, so obviously he finds it fun. At one stage,
or he just likes winning. Maybe he doesn't play the game for enjoyment anymore. Maybe he's a professional player that just likes winning.
Winning is pretty fun. Winning is much better than losing. Who knew?
Losing sucks.
Yeah, losing does suck. That's why I'm on the desk now. That's why I'm here. I'm sick of losing.
Claire had a very good late game. For a person that, down 0-2 in the laning phase, was also down in CS. On Azir, they priority picked that for him, was pretty instrumental.
Yeah, absolutely. Just doing so much damage. He just got to a point where he'd scaled so much and there was no answer. Such a big range on the Azir as he's pulverizing.
He's actually looking pretty animated right now.
He's either not happy or he's really happy with something right now. So banging his hands on the desk. But yeah, just doing so much damage towards the later stages of the game. And it almost does come back to the Braum pick because nobody could get on him. They had the tank line there, Sejuani, Braum, and then him and Raid just untouched in the back lines. We're doing so much damage. And
Azir as well as Varus, the 2 of those champions that their sustained damage is very good, but they also have quite good upfront damage as well through, the Q from Azir as well as the passive from Varus being able to repetitively proc. Thoughts on new Legacy jerseys?
Interesting.
The
a lot
white
of white
primary as opposed to the green primary.
Different because it used to be green and black. Yep. It used to be mostly green with they have a fair amount of black in the logo. I don't know. I like it. It's a change. It's a little switcheroo.
I think it looks real fresh. What I would like to see, I mean, I don't know if this is what they're going for, but that looks very summery to me.
Summer,
I think that is like the summer jersey.
We're going to have the summer and
Split 2, they bring back the darker one because it's winter. And, because right now in Sydney, for those that don't know, it's like 35 degrees.
It's very cold in this room.
This room is like -2 degrees.
This is always winter. We only have one jersey here, but then the player rooms, not quite that cold. They get to switch it up there. Summer winter jerseys, I like it.
Yeah, I like it as well.
Yeah, I back that 100%. Let's see if they do. Let's see if they can execute. We've given them the plan. Let's see if they can pull through on the end of that.
I love how I gave them the plan. You've claimed it.
Hey, we're a duo. What do you mean? It's us.
It's us.
Jake and Bryce on the desk.
Versus the world.
Yes.
This is great. I love it. Decoy live up to the expectations of that game? We've talked about the Braum pick a lot, but what about Decoy in particular?
Yes, but that's kind of a hard game to tell. Because
Okay.
he didn't have to... I mean, he had to do a lot. But Braum isn't the standout champion, in my eyes, to see a player really shine. He's just got to be a big tank in the front, like,
So
yeah, stand behind me.
what champion does Decoy have to explode on for you to be like, yes, he has arrived in it?
I'm going to say Thresh, because I just love Thresh. I think if you're a support player, Thresh is the least in of support. If you cannot play Thresh, then I don't think you can be called a great support player in my eyes. Destiny has just agreed.
Agrees. He's just giving him the big agree.
Yep, so I 100%...
You guys have got... This is very cute, by the way, the little bit of the bromance that's going on between Egypt and Destiny. Yesterday, you call him the best Alistar player.
Yeah,
now
is.
he's agreeing with your analysis. I like this. This is cute. Maybe I should give up my chair for a game. But in all honesty, Sin this game, they would not be... I mean, they'll be upset with the loss. You're always upset after a loss. But they would be having signs of promise after what was a very promising early game.
I mean, definitely. It's much easier to win the game if you're already winning. You win early game, that means a winning mid game, that means a winning late game, right? So there's obviously just that that converging to work on, or conversion from the mid game where they stuffed it up. They had the victory in the early game, they had the kills onto Claire, they had the advantage, but they just need to clean it up a bit, I guess not force so hard, and then definitely use some of the tools available to them. They didn't even try 1-3-1.
Potentially the goal for Vicarious should also be to match scaling, because that gets rid of the mental burden. I know lots of people have been in games of League of Legends where they've said, if we don't win in the next 10, 15 minutes, it kind of is harder to win. So maybe some onus on the coach there?
Yeah, potentially. Putting yourself on the clock does suck as a player. From experience, I can tell you that 100%. But in saying that, it's not like they scaled poorly.
No, they
did have
okay,
tanks, and they had Ryze and Ezreal, 2 late game threats that will be very potent. But just the front line coming out of Legacy with the Azir and the Varus, I think, did have the edge.
Has Raid or not Raid? Has Radier or Raze ever really been on a clock? I feel like you, as far as AD carry talent in late game, have been quite spoiled. I don't know if either of the organisations you have played for in the last 3 years have ever had a time period that they had to win the game.
I don't know. It depends on composition. Based on... Yeah. I'm not sure what your point is. Based on game to game, what do you mean? What were you getting at?
I just mean that both of those... I'm just saying both of those players in late game situations didn't really matter what they were playing. Were very clutch players.
I mean, Ray's 100% is a teamfight AD carry. I think he's much better at teamfighting than he is laning. And then Raydir, for his time, was actually just insane. Luna Park, he was just unmatched. I don't know, on Kalista late game, he was just 1v9.
Unparalleled. Raid also an AD carry that is much better out of the laning phase, and I think we saw that in this game. They used their priority to shove, but then were able to make it to team fights. As we take a look at the bans, it's going to be Kog'Maw, Gangplank, Sejuani hitting the bench, as well as Azir, Ornn, and Kalista from the Sim Gaming lineup.
We have seen so much priority on the Kog'Maw here in Legacy. Obviously do not want to play that. There we go. That's the fun one. Legacy picked themselves up the Braum for Decoy once again.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Absolutely not.
And they threw a lot of things at the door last game.
The door didn't break.
But it did not break. It is still standing. See what the response is going to be out of Sin Gaming.
Potentially the Varus. They did leave the Jarvan open and ban Sedge. So potentially they have another answer for it. But Juves did a lot of work on that last game. They do lock in the Varus.
Yeah, I'd like to see potentially him go back towards it. Malzahar gives you some good late game control, as well as like a lot of nice pick, to just be frank, until everyone has a QSS.
Yeah. Also means you have to buy a QSS on the side of Legacy. Most players will have to pick that one up. Another Ezreal, and that's a much stronger lane than Varus Braum, I think.
Ezreal Braum is actually one of the funnest lanes in the game to play if either hit skill shots, and they're just going to take the mirror.
Yeah. No Zoe. There's no Zoe. No, why didn't Sin just pick up the Zoe? Obviously, these teams have an answer.
There is the change right there. Praedyth, Sin's top laner, takes the Camille in what is a very powerful Camille meta right now.
Absolutely. One of the most dominant top laners right now. Ornn has been almost perma-banned. We saw a bit of him yesterday, but none today so far. But we're only 2 games in.
We've also seen a little bit of jungle Camille.
Yeah.
Wonder how Juves goes on the lady with the blade legs.
He doesn't strike me as a Camille player.
No, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. Top lane Camille. Yeah, I back that it's going to Praedyth.
I back it. I also agree. But the support pool potentially will be getting pinched here. But there's still a lot available.
It's hard to pinch because there is Taric, Shen,
Ali, everything's still up.
I mean, Shen, Alistar, obviously the 2 easier to execute, I would say. Tahm Kench at times can be ruined, really. And Taric, if you don't get the sunglasses on quickly enough, just does not do all that much.
Does it? Indeed, absolutely. And then it's on a 17-minute cooldown. You can't use it again for the rest of the game, basically. That cooldown is so long, but they do.
But it is so powerful. There's a reason that 5-man invulnerability has a very long cooldown.
Also, 5-man Ardent Sensor when you're doing the Baron. That Baron doesn't exist after 3 seconds. You give everyone the attack speed.
We haven't seen much Ardent Sensor.
Yeah. It fell off. It got nerfed. It got nerfed into the ground. It was so broken that everyone was just first buying it pre-boots, pre-Sightstone, but after the nerf, it became back into what it originally was. In that luxury item, you get your redemption, you get your locket, and then potentially if you get to the stage where you have the gold to afford another one, you were like, okay, I'm going to get the Ardent Sensor, I'm going to buff everyone up. Yeah,
but don't feel too sorry for supports, because at least they get to build 2 complete items now. Back in the day, just none.
Just wards.
Yeah, that's going to be Jarvan locked in as priority.
Surprised they didn't get rid of that one on the side of Legacy.
I mean, obviously felt like they wanted to force the Alistar matchup again.
Yeah, maybe. Potentially do throw 2 bans into that bottom lane. Maybe we just get a Thresh. Thresh Braum's a pretty standard matchup.
Did you ever? I feel like teams are doing this more often. The counter pick support. Support seems so crucial in swinging bottom lanes nowadays. That your priority AD carries, and then supports actually get a lot of luxury into what they play.
100% agree. I think for almost the last 2 to 3 years, the supports have the biggest impact on how the bot lane matchup works out. You can.
Hey!
Okay.
My man.
Your man.
The rock in the top. That is a Malphite.
That is a Malphite.
I had an 82% win rate on Malphite last season.
Hey, that's a win rate. That's a biggie.
Yeah.
That's a big one. Okay. And they do answer with the alley, so they go back to the alley into Braum matchup. Interesting.
Malphite versus Varus is a very good Malphite matchup.
Yeah.
He
has to on his head, no mobility.
Has to flash. And, I mean, Ultimate Hat makes Malphite's ultimate like very accessible at the moment. And then relies on a lot of his damage through attack speed. And Malphite's one of the few attack speed decreases in the game.
Yeah, 100% agree with you.
So that's the lane we're going to watch this game.
Dream going to struggle with that one as they get into later stages of the game.
But in saying that, Malphite iffy lane at best against Camille.
Yeah.
The low sweep real hurts at the start of the game, and then true damage on the Q means that your armor, where you have like 560, not real relevant.
I mean, Series has been playing a lot of it.
Has he?
In the solo queue, I believe so, absolutely. He's been playing it. But he did pick it into the Camille. You say it's not a bad matchup, but maybe he has a different idea.
Yeah, maybe he's just better.
Maybe.
Which he probably is, which is why I'm casting and he's commentating. I mean, I'm that bad now that I don't even get the color cast anymore. I've been relegated to play-by-play.
Come on, mate. You're all right. You're all right, Jake. I like you. I like you. But back to the point we were making before in terms of bot lane supports versus AD carries. There's always, very rarely, the be-all and end-all best OP support. That doesn't happen too much comparatively to AD carries. You're like, Callista, wow, she is busted. Like, pick ban, 100%. Kog'Maw, wow, he's broken. So what tends to happen is you just blind pick the AD carries and you just trade around the power picks as a team. And then the support matchups influence how the lane's going to go a lot more. If you pick a melee into a range, then like, okay, I'm probably going to get shoved in. We're going to look for ganks, that sort of thing. Or if you pick, I don't know, like MF into Zyra, you're just like, well, we want to punish this lane super hard in the lane phase. And they just influence the matchup more. Yeah, and they also have a little bit more presence on the map itself throughout the early game. However, we're back onto Summoner's Rift. Legacy versus Sin, and Laura is alongside Soul Strikes, the big brain of Legacy.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm standing alongside Soul Strikes. Now, Legacy seemed to be pretty animated and in high spirits after that first win. How's the team feeling, and were they confident heading into this series?
Yeah, they were definitely high-spirited, and especially Julian. He just brings a lot of joy to the team, and yeah, big boost of morale.
Sin had a pretty strong early game in that last game. Is this something that worries you at all, or is it something that you predicted?
I kind of predicted the Jarvan level 2 gank. We did with the bot dot bush, but I think Brandon was a bit nervous about it, and he just got ganked. And yeah, it was a bit messy, but we got the win at the end of the day.
And in this game, we're seeing Malphite in that top lane, which Jake is really happy about. What does he bring to your team's composition?
He brings like another tank and a guaranteed initiate when we choose to fight, and he does quite well against Camille. And yeah, and Praetus is known for a Camille player, so hopefully Evan can be a rock solid pick.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us today, Soul Strikes, and best of luck with the series.
All right, thank you.
My job is to pun Soul Strikes.
Hopefully Evan can be a rock solid pick.
Evan is series and Julian is raid. Just to clarify in that, of course, Soul Strike's first name basis with his team, as he should be.
Yeah,
Maybe the people
as
at
you'd
home,
expect.
not very much so. But I like that Raid's a jovial character in the team. He's a fun guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I've spent a bit of time around it. Definitely a fun guy. Absolutely agree there. As K-pop did switch his skin up. He's gone pink. Pink
I
alley.
like that.
Ooh.
Actually, a little bit of skin synergy there.
Yeah. It's almost like Heart Seeker combo, but Ali doesn't have one, so he tried his best.
Oh, come on. If there was going to be a Heart Seeker alley, it would probably be that one. Striker Ezreal as well. Green Braum. Was that a change-up as well?
It's Legacy Braum.
It certainly is.
100%.
That's
the
stun proc
Cupcake
there
used to use that
onto
one.
top lane. They're going to give Praetor a little bit of health. Dodges out of everything there, Series, and no damage goes across.
None of the CC landing there onto Series, so ends up just walking away. Didn't even burn one tick of his corrupting pot. So
And all of a sudden, Juves is being forced out. You see Sybil jumps on his head and now probably can't get access to that topside jungle.
And Juves, just a one-track mine right now. Level 2 gank first game. That worked. Let's do it again.
Yep, double buff into level 2 gank again. Sybil going to
He's
wait
looking.
for him around the corner. Has spotted him.
Does Sybil
Here we go.
find him at Raptors? Is Juves going to go for
He
the
has
camp? He's
to
gone the
walk.
long way.
There's no ward. Oh, he's ran into him. Flag drag out. Sybil can get on here with a jump.
Wouldn't have had the Q available. Just not enough damage to take him out, and then obviously that would be under the turret, but Doink being able to get there, so could not find the kill, but that's exactly what we saw yesterday with Praetor doing to Bavip. So round 2, Sybil finding Juves in his jungle, punishing that early gank that was not successful.
Prayless to the bit.
Prayless, yes.
Not
Not Praetor. Praetor's
The
in
top
this game.
laner, yep.
Unfortunately, yeah, wrong one.
Yeah, that's all right, dude. You knew.
K-pop going for biscuits again.
Do you
Round
like the
2 of that one.
biscuits?
It depends on matchup. I think Ezreal Braum is a much stronger combo than they were facing last game, so
Yeah, probably needs him this
definitely
time around.
necessary, yeah.
Comet has been picked up in the top lane for both of them. Comet,
Yeah,
Hellfire.
You trade with Q.
Yeah, I
so you
know.
hit them with a slow, guaranteed to land the Comet there, so that makes a lot of sense.
I'm just happy because I play Comet Malphite as well.
Yeah.
Eagerly track his build, whether he gets an Abyssal Mask, which synergizes so well with the kit out of Malphite, because he doesn't have good AP scaling, but he has good magic damage, if that makes sense. Did that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. He would have taken the ultimate hat. Does he get the death cap as well? It's just match hats on hats. And
Hats on hats?
Hats
You can't
on
wear
hats and-
two hats. Although
mean,
if
he
anyone
could.
could, Malphite, he's the size of a mountain, even though he doesn't look
He
that
can wear,
big.
because you know his head's like a
Nose,
real
yeah.
a real tiny thing. And a lot of people don't actually know that about Malphite. His head is on the front. It's not the top of his body. So he can wear a hat on his head and then a hat on each shoulder.
We were talking about this matchup a lot this morning. One that I actually like for the Malzahar into the Rise, because Rise's trade pattern is a straight line skill shot.
Yep.
Malzahar drops a Voidling in front of it.
Harkens back to the old support Malzahar when he was just blocking CC, blocking Thresh hooks with the Voidlings there. So blocks a lot of the damage from the Rise as he picks himself up a good trade. But as both of them have the spell book, Claire just switches his summoner to TP, comes back to lane, and I assume Bedoink is going to do the same.
Maybe Bedoink can walk this one out.
Potentially. The lane is reset.
Yep. Raid has got a good CS advantage down in that bottom lane. He's going to be up by about 10. You can see one more time. It's going to be a repeat gank on the top side of the map. We'll see whether Juves can get in there. It's going to be onto Series. Slow comes out, and this time he is hook shot off the wall, flashes, and he didn't chain it. One more auto attack will do it. First blood picked up for Juves.
They do pick up the kill, double flash burned by the Sin lineup there, but we haven't seen a successful Camille E-flash off a wall yet in the OPL. Praetor just slightly missing that one there.
Firing out the shade at everyone.
They do get the kill.
They did.
Round 2. That's Series going 0-1 in this matchup like he did last game. Not the solo kill this time, but Prey did. Picks up the kill for himself. Actually onto Juice.
And I mean,
Where's
that's
the,
big
TM
because we've already said that this lane, I feel like it'll be swinging. I kind of agree that if this was just in a perfect world, if you're a Malphite, you never get ganked,
You can chill.
you can just chill. You're pretty all right. But if you continually get ganked, as you will in this, especially as soon as Hextech Ultimatum is picked up and you can't ulti out of it,
And he does
as I
have
said,
flash.
you are, it's not the easiest lane in the game.
Looking
That
to
is
see if
good damage.
Juice does repeat. Yeah, it does damage. Probably putting a few extra points in the queue. Does have the tabbies available, so
He
get rid
actually-
of a little bit of
ooh.
that damage.
I think that he's in big trouble. I almost think he's nearly in 1v1 territory. Obviously, they are waiting for Vision. As you can see, they go check for it right now. Onto Mr. Sybil.
And Sin, honestly, are setting up for this top lane play. There is that blue ward from Legacy at Juves' Rafters, but they have the pink in the top side of the river, pink in the dot bush as well, so if Juves can get a priority onto Bedoink there, they could just visit this top lane, look for a dive, repeat their game 1 play onto Series, and
This
look
is
to play it in a
dangerous
similar
out
style.
of Juves. I mean, he has flag drag. It does go through the Rise snare. as snares don't stop you from casting abilities, they just stop you from moving.
Yep, but Doink was there backing him up, hiding in wait there in the bush, just as Claire was looking to see what was going on, and Sybil finds himself in a Dragon Pit, dashes over, just looking to get himself a red buff. And I mean, double tier coming out of Legacy. Do they really want to be skirmishing on the bottom side of the map? Rise has a tier, Ezreal has a tier, he's got himself a Sheen, but yeah, they have invested a lot of gold into their late game builds there already, so not looking for that play there.
See whether we see a Trinity Force or an Iceborne Gauntlet. Have you got an opinion on what you think is better at the moment?
I think in competitive, Iceborne Gauntlet is straight up better. You don't need that tiny bit of extra damage. Not tiny, it is significant, but the slows are just so much more useful in a team fight. We were talking about yesterday Ezreal's 1v9, 1v5 potential in terms of a hyper carry, as there's a bit of an engaged Sybil. Snakes it away there.
Certainly does. Able to get in. Picks up the big wolf, which is a lot of the gold on that camp.
Yeah.
And with that knowledge that Juice has gone back topside and the deep vision, they start up Dragon.
Ocean Drake. The laning Dragon, absolutely. Gives you mana regen, gives you the health regen, procs every now and again. That sustains so useful early in the game and not so useful later on in team fights because they just don't last very long at that stage. But as I was saying, Ezreal's 1v5, Ezreal's hypercarry potential does rely a lot on people not being able to get onto him. So if he could keep them at bay with that slow from the Frozen Fist, the Iceborne Gauntlet, much more effective. So I do think Raid will go for that build instead of the Triforce. Dream looking for the highlight reel play last game in that one.
And to be fair to Dream, was close in a couple of situations. A couple of snipes in the mid lane. If they had gone the other way and had been able to pick up some kills, could have been a big deal. See whether Legacy can continue to control bottom side, because one thing you can always count on with Malphite is his teleport ganks. That is nearly back off cooldown.
Speaking of Malphite, though, Bedoink is going to visit his friend. Series up in the top lane. Hextech Ultimatum coming out.
Yeah, can't flash out of that one. Does get the follow-up flash. So 3 flashes have been burnt onto Series in this early game, and he falls again. However, they're bringing up the jungler. They're bringing up the mid laner. Sybil goes in, and they're engaging onto Bedoink. Actually, a lot of return damage, and Praetor has just bailed on him. Potentially could have picked up the kill. I think they could have turned it, but he's just ran away.
So, could have been so close there, but Praetor did not trust Bedoink, and that one left him to be. Bedoink obviously wanted to fight it. Burned the stopwatch to save some time. Camille would have had access to the E, to that CC, but they don't choose to pull the trigger on the 2v2 there on the back end of that fight, and they do trade 1 for 1 in the end of that one.
Juves is down on the bottom lane. Just use flag and drag. It depends whether they can keep them here. Alistair ultimate has just been burnt for something, and they're teleporting in. That's no ultimate from Bedoink, though.
Yep.
See where they can go for it. They flash on top of it. See where they can continue to pick on Decoy. He still has the flash available. Instead, jumps away, and they're able to get out. Successful disengage, and now Rise is heading down. The turn is available, and you can see Ray just continues to poke out. They run very close to the wall, and that is going to be K-Pop snared up. Turret shot will potentially fall down. No, gets the heal. Dodges, does the do-si-do, and should be able to escape. A big amount of summoner spells burnt, but it looks like it's going to be for naught. Goes back in, tries to turn again. Potentially would have been caught up.
Nah, just decided he was dead on the end of that one. Braum Q was going to come out. Sybil still had access to the jump, I think. He was going to go down. No ulti available, so decides to CC the opponents, keep them away from his teammates. Sybil looking for more.
Yeah, Juve started up a camp. Doesn't look like he has mana for flag and drag, but Sybil's just not quick enough.
Sybil says, no, you have no place being on this Gromp. This is mine, but Legacy's bot lane. Game 2, same thing. They get out of the dive. Obviously, no Malzahar ulti, Nethergrass coming out from Bedoink there. So he did TP down there with no CC. They just jump out of it. Arcane Shift, Braum W.
And this is what you were talking about with Braum. If that's an Alistar in there, he can headbutt someone away, he can pole the ground, but he can't get out. The ability for Braum to go backwards has been crucial in these games.
Yeah, and Decoy is just showing it again, why he is so good on this Braum, keeping the bot lane alive in this situation. And yeah, just committing so much to the top lane from Sin, and then they just go for an immediate play afterwards. They did kill Series there, but had nothing available. Pulled the trigger on the dive and then got punished.
Not bad damage out of Series there onto Praetor. You can see now that he's picked up a couple of items, holding him off turret.
As he gets tankier, Camille's just going to have a harder and harder time killing him in time. Obviously, Claire, we've seen Series got ganked earlier, and he just realm warped himself and Sybil up into the top lane. And that's the biggest thing. In these Camille matchups, side laning later on into the game, you're just trying to lock them down and kill them in time. And the person inside that ultimatum is like screaming help from his allies. And Malphite going to do a great job at staying alive for as long as possible. Has the CC, the attack speed slow, keeping himself alive there.
track that as it goes on. Run one more time into the bottom lane. Good ultimate comes across lanes on both Dream and K-Pop, but they will disengage. And Sin right now, no bottom side of the map. What are they playing towards? What are they looking for?
Well, right now they're looking for that top side. They are in a bit of a precarious position right now here. Legacy just playing the same style, scaling up here, not playing too proactively, and Sin have been looking for these plays, just have not been successful here. So potentially want to open up the map a bit so that they can look for these picks with the Malzahar. They have so much pick potential. Varus ulti, Nethergrasp on Malzahar, Juice has a Cataclysm, and they just want to open up the map for Praetor to dance around the side lanes.
And Juice face checks, might have to, no, yeah, he has flash, so he might have to flash to the wall here to get out.
Yep.
Will be okay, but that could potentially be Rift Herald started up.
No, they don't. Ooh, he is keeping the aggro available here, but Rage is going to go to the top side, I think. Series, does he want to take it? That's a 1v1. They're pretty similar. Malphite and Rift Herald, that'd be
similar
who
size.
wins?
And Malphite actually stays up here, so if that's actually K-Pop spotting out Sybil, I was going to say if they just 2v4 face check, this will be a dead top side of the map.
No, they ping it. They're going to ward it.
Yeah,
okay, nice.
So nice ward coming out of K-Pop. That's actually very good play, and you can see Camille racing towards that bottom lane. Potentially has tempo advantage now.
Yep, they knew Series wasn't in the bottom lane there, as he should be. Left the top and replaced by Legacy's bot lane, so had no business face checking that bush in the top side. K-Pop hits it with a ward. They don't get dove here, as just trying to defend their turret as best as possible. It will give a bit of free time for Praetor on this turret in the bottom lane. Can he answer here, as this one's looking pretty grim?
Certainly is. The attack speed steroid of Ezreal makes it very easy to hit turrets. You can see Juice also top side of the map.
And just to note, he does have the Frozen Fist there. Opted in for that build instead of the Triforce, so our suspicions were correct.
Actually,
looking in the
bottom lane, yeah. But Doink goes over the wall. You can see right now, Series going
full
aggressive,
HP.
full HP. Will they pull the trigger? They don't.
Praetor goes in a bit early there, I think. Took too many turret hits there.
Yeah, but that was both ultimates. I mean, I still think that if Bedoink grabs turret aggro, they can potentially win that. Needs to obviously be confident in flashing the Malphite ultimate. They don't think it's worthwhile, so they just back away.
I mean, yeah, Malphite did still have the ulti and the flash, so can buy a little bit of time under the turret. And as we said, Praetor already half HP there. Bedoink not very tanky. Has a Morello's, no Roa, no Abyssal Mask to his name. He's not the Rise there, so tanking the turret. Would have had a 1-free auto with that shield passive, but didn't want to commit to the play. Infernal Drake has spawned, and Sybil's looking at it once more, looking to solo that one out.
I mean, the whole of Legacy is honestly looking at it. You can see the bottom lane one more time, the proactive roam down. This time it is a Fire Drake. Very worthwhile to be able to pick that one up. And they've saved bottom lane. They've gone pretty even top side of the map, and Legacy are looking good.
Especially with a champion like Kazu. Just the raw stats, so useful for him. He's going to build the penetration, so to give him the AD to back it up, just going to be able to do so much damage. Looking to assassinate potentially the side lane later with Praetor on the Camille.
Rise as well actually benefits a lot from AP nowadays. We saw last night, Faker pretty much went a full AP build. With not even Zhonya's, I don't think.
Better than a 90-minute game.
Yeah, that was the 90-minute game.
Probably changed his build a few times.
Couple of times,
yeah, just made a few decisions. This one's not working. Let's rinse, repeat. I have infinite gold.
I tell you what, Ornn makes those 90-minute games a little bit more exciting because you can upgrade the items a few times.
You get another shop once you're at 6. I do want to note something quite specific here. Dream, sitting on the blasting wand. The Guinsoo's build path not very good for an 80 carry. You don't want that AP on Varus. That's not going to do a whole lot, as where on the other side, Raid already got the Manamune, already got the Frozen Fist. So in a bit of a lull right now comparatively to his lane opponent, but looking like he's just going to base pick that one up now.
Also did not go the free boots mastery, of course. Klepto for Ezreal allows him to be able to do that. So you can see that he's spent the 1100 gold on the boots, whereas Ezreal's currently spent 0 on boots. Hence the big item disparity.
Also a 20 CS lead.
And a
slide
turret
there for him, and looking like they're just going to get another free turret. Sin not here in time to be able to defend, and without K-Pop being there, Dream's not going to do it himself.
Yeah, exactly right. And they're just not winning any part of the lane right now. Series has been a rock in the top lane.
Has.
Literally this game.
Quite literally here. And this seems like more of Legacy's game. It was a slower early game. Jews looked for a gank, but unsuccessful. They staved it off in the bot side, and now we're getting into the mid-game fights. They've got themselves a couple of dragons, and now they're looking to be more proactive.
They certainly are. See whether they force mid lane or just pick themselves up a Rift Herald. 16.5 minutes into the game. Not a bad time to take her off Summoner's Rift.
They do know.
And, I mean, across the board right now, Sin look like they're starving a little bit.
Looking for this engage on the bot side, Badoink is walking over a ward, so Series is going to know.
Yeah,
Maybe
I mean,
just ulti
flash
away.
forward, potentially ulti. Nut once again, just going to leave it. And I mean, every single time you leave a lane, show yourself on a map, you're just giving up more and more pressure. And they're not able to push into the Malphite, an area I definitely thought they would win by more than 20 CS. And this Ezreal is starting to become a real problem.
Yeah, absolutely. And at what stage do they decide something else? What stage they're like, okay, we're not going to be able to kill Series under their turret. We need to make another play, potentially put the bot lane in mid, and then have Badoink come in from a side lane. If they put him top against this Ryze, he can push out a little bit there. Claire's a little bit ahead, but won't want to venture too far into enemy territory. So instead of looking to gank Series, why don't you look to gank raid on the Ezreal?
Gank the Ryze, he still hasn't gone QSS. I feel like if you're 17 minutes into the game and you're side laning as Ryze, you probably deserve to die at least once without the QSS.
Juice is around there, but fairly decent vision for Legacy there. He does have that ward in the tri-bush, and the wave was pushed in. So.
All right, you were one of the shot callers on the Chiefs. What's the call right now if you're Sin? You feel like you're slowly losing the game. You've already lost one late game. Are you still calm? Or you're starting to get a little bit forceful?
You're still calm, but you're like, okay, we need to make decisions. We need to make some plays, and that's exactly what Sin were doing last game. They're not unaccustomed to that playstyle, and I think you're right. Look for Claire. No QSS. He just backed, got himself the Archangels, but...
That's a real greedy build.
Yeah, it is. He still has a stopwatch, so potentially that's the thought process. He's like, okay, I have one button. I don't need a second one right now. I can finish the Archangels instead of the QSS.
And it's not an 8E Jarvan this game, so it's not like Jarvan's going to fly in off screen and one-hit you. So, yep, you're potentially right. He feels he can survive the duration of the Nethergrass.
But Camille will do the damage, so in that 2v1, if they do look for that split push pick, Juves and Praedyth, they will be able to kill him there. But yeah, you need to start making some decisions. The mid lane is just getting shoved in. They're dropping the Rift Herald by Legacy, so...
That's actually a really quick Rift Herald out of Legacy there. Duration wasn't nearly near done. So they obviously want this mid lane turret. You can see the collapse is coming across from the rest of the Sin Gaming lineup.
Do they get the turret? They will get another couple of hits on it. The swipe won't be enough to take it out. Sin will defend this one, but I think the thing to note here is that Series is now actually pushing in Praedyth in the sideline. They did blind pick this split push Camille, doing absolutely nothing right now.
It certainly isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, potentially we'll go towards Sterix as well afterwards, which isn't going to help him all that. Might have to go a last Whisper on Camille. And they're just going to brute force this mid lane turret across the board right now. Legacy are in control.
And what that does for Legacy there is he can push in that bot side of the map, and he was just sitting in that bush to the right-hand side of that outer turret. So Sin are like, okay, he's missing from the bot lane. He's obviously in our jungle. We can't defend this one. We can't defend 5v4. And as Soulstrike said in his interview, it gives them that proactive engage whenever they want it. If Series has ultimate, they have a way to engage a team fight. They can get onto Dream. They can get onto Badoink, provided his passive's down. They both have flash now, so they didn't look for a dive, but it gave them access to the turret.
Yeah, and I hope somewhere OPL Twitter's tweeting out the room page of Malphite, because we were talking about yesterday ease of execution and learning a role. Malphite is the best top laner
the Annie of top.
to just learn top lane.
What about Garen? How does he fare?
Yeah, Garen's pretty good as well, but like Garen doesn't offer much into a team fight, right? So if you want to like feel relevant in the game, Malphite has a much easier go team fight button. And I feel like, you know, he teaches you teleport plays because you're always looking for that big ultimate. He teaches you how to lane because, I mean, he's got mana issues a little bit, but I mean, right now the runes really help him out in that category. I actually just think he's pretty solid.
Yeah, pretty solid. Rock solid.
Rock solid. Rock solid.
This dragon spawning in 3 seconds. It will be the Earth Drake, so Legacy once again looking to pick up that...
Potential Baron can be started here on the other side of the map. Malzahar, Jarvan, as well as Varus do it very quickly. Not in position for it, however.
Legacy did this one pretty fast, so they will be able to get up there. They do have Realm Warp available, so...
good point.
We have seen that used yesterday by Swiffy to get into the top lane and also internationally to pick up the free ride to objectives every now and again.
Yeah, unfortunately, a couple of members of Swiffer's team didn't jump into that one. He left two of them behind. They went for the Dosey-Do flank.
And the old flank, But as we said, yes, Sin could not find themselves an avenue on the Baron. And also, nice preparation of Legacy. They did have the Scuttle Crab already, so they would know if Sin went for that. Blasting Plant not available right now. You can see it on the map. It's just not there, so they couldn't get over the backside of the wall where the crab doesn't see you. Juves walks in and flings his lance at Raid in his direction, nowhere near hitting him.
Pop the E, obviously that was what he was doing, baiting out. Didn't want to waste the mana of this spell, as we actually see Praedyth, one more time, just getting forced out by this Malphite.
I mean, Malphite, he's down in CS, but it doesn't matter. Straight up, it doesn't matter. It's not putting him too far behind in the 1v1. He's winning it now.
See, the best thing about people like Malphite and Annie, they're not really all that item reliant.
Yeah.
When you have an AoE stun slash
You
knock
land
up,
your button.
yeah, you're
pretty good.
Gucci without any items.
100% as Legacy looking to set up this vision around the Baron. They're
Ooh,
doing
Sybil's about to face check multiple members. This could have been dangerous. They don't go for him at all. I feel like they can just blow him up, and they try it in the end, and they get him. Now the team fight really has started. You can see K-Pop on the front line doing so much tanking. They flash forward onto Malphite. He's pretty tanky, fellas, but they do take him down. Now Camille on the back end of this team fight will get in, will miss that E in, but flash it forward. Hextech ultimatum. You're really low, actually. You're just going to fall down, Praedyth. That was a little bit strange, but the fight continues. Good knock up there out of Juice. But Doink actually rejoins the fight, gets the... Oh, that is so much damage out of Claire, following him into a brush. Juice is going to fall down, and that fight has just turned into a nightmare right now for Legacy. They bring in 2 additional members. Juice whizzes the Hourglass, and Decoy very low. They push Raid back, and now by himself, Claire is there. That's going to be, what, a 4-2 in the end, I think?
Claire hits them with the budget Messiah. Realm Warp into Zhonya's combo.
He could have just got out. If he didn't want to take it.
Like, I mean, it's because he was landing on an alley. He didn't want to get pulverized.
But that's what I mean. He can send Decoy in
and
then
100%.
walk it. That wasn't the longest range. Ezreal got there in time.
Yeah, 100%. You are correct there, but chose to take it anyway. But as we said, Sybil just too far forward here. Gets pulverized, gets locked down by the Varus. Decoy tries to save him as well as Series, but they just can't do enough. They're underneath the turret. K-Pop flashes away here as Bedoink locks down the Malphite. He didn't have ulti here, so not too useful anymore, but this is the big play coming up in a few seconds. But Doink wasn't with his team. Look at him right now. In the mid lane, round 2 of him not being available for this fight happened in game 1. So Praedyth falls down here. There's no vision in this bush with Claire. Watch this amount of damage. They're face checking, has the Eon, and then that AoE damage. Juves pops the stopwatch, but way too far gone at that stage, way too low. Juves, he might just be falling down.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he has Flag and Drag available, but they go back in and they try and turn this one. Juves is still behind the Baron. They've got it onto Decoy. Juves gets out, and this might be K-Pop falling down, but as far as trade goes, that's not all as bad as it could have been.
Baited by Juves onto K-Pop, making it over the wall.
Actually, teleport not available right now for Camille, so she takes the turret, but they're going to just start off the Baron. One more time, it's dangerous against Juves, and they are quite low.
3K,
see
can they
whether
hold?
they can get in there. They hold it. 2K, Raid goes over, blows him up, and now that is just going to be a free objective.
Really nice hold out of Legacy on the Baron. Around 3K HP, nice discipline by them. They're looking for Juves, warding over the wall, seeing where he is. They do have that ward in the tri-bush up near top lane where Juves is standing, and as you see, Raid just pops himself over the wall. Juves is already low from getting caught in that Baron pit. He goes down, no smite available. Decoy pops the wall, pick themselves up another Baron.
Yeah, and I want to talk about one thing that was in that replay that we didn't really hit on. Praedyth missed his E-flash at the start of the game. There was a time when he went over the wall and missed. If he had been confident enough to flash, there was a 2-man stun available. But I think because he missed the early one, he was like, I don't want to burn that. In the end, he burned his flash in the team fight anyway. Potentially, this is what the stage
early
does
game
to
mistakes.
what you would do in solo queue,
him later.
you don't do in pro play because the risk is just there.
100%. Nerves will be his first game on stage for the 2018 season. First set, rather, not first game. Played one earlier today.
Are we going to see the Iceborne Gauntlet picked up for series? Because if we do, that's not good news. Let the Gromp live. He is merciful.
Oh,
actually, that is going to be a lot of people flashing forward, and Juves is just going to fall down. That means he's going to bait K-Pop one more time, and I don't think he's getting out of there. The chain CC is just so high. A double kill picked up for Raid, and what was a very aggressive play onto 2 tanks might just net them in an inhibitor.
They had the flash timer there. Juves, other than the flag and drag, no way to get out. And they see Praedyth on the top side of the map, split pushing, but he has no TP. They hard commit for the play. 5-man engaged there.
I mean, I don't know what they're doing right now because there's still some death timers and no one's recalling. They've got Baron and Ezreal rips through these turrets.
Dream is alone in his base. 1v5, can't do anything right now. Praedyth still hasn't recalled. He's channeling now. That's an inhibitor turret and the Nexus turret for those 2 picks.
Yeah, and they're going to Realm Walk out. Actually, they flashed forward. Did he not get Rise?
No, he didn't get Rise. So it doesn't matter if you CC someone in the Realm Walk. If you don't CC the Rise, then they're zooming. Yeah. They're zooming away. See you, dude.
So Bedoink makes
Dude.
a crucial error there, potentially.
That would have been clutch.
That would have been
He landed
huge.
that 100% clutch, but they're all standing on top of each other, very clumped. Sybil baits it this
Dodges out of
time.
that ultimate, and Malphite,
No
no
ulti.
ultimate available. However, good slow coming out, and he's continuing to chase forward, just being a brick. No ultimate available for Bedoink just yet. K-Pop falls
ulti.
incredibly low and falls down.
His ulti was about 2 seconds off cooldown. It's available now. Couldn't pop that one, and Flash also in a similar scenario. 5 seconds-ish right now. It's just coming up. Couldn't use either.
Now without K-Pop, without Nethergrass, can they do anything? One more time, the Legacy lineup, they go forward. That hits onto Dream, and he's been stunned up a little bit. Sybil in a little bit of trouble on the other side of the team fight, and now the turnaround is available. They pick up 2 members, and they're still going strong here. You can see Raid just being zoned by Praetor. Wants to hit the turret. Praetor trying to get rid of the creep wave, and K-Pop is only 5 seconds away. Praetor doesn't have ultimate available, so we'll see what the re-engage looks like. Just trying to corral them out of the base, but that should be all a 2-for-1 trade.
He's not going to go in there. They get themselves the second inhib. Legacy playing this game pretty cleanly, honestly. Picking up these teamfight wins, taking the objectives there as we see Praetor pick up a few chickens. But this Earth Drake is available, but probably see Legacy just go into the top side, and Sin honestly look indecisive.
Yep.
Their early game plays did not work, and now they're just faltering. Bedoink was in the mid lane when that bot lane play happened, and Praetor was in the top, and they didn't respawn in time. Lose a Nexus turret. Realm Warp coming through from Claire to get his team out of the base there, but they just don't seem to be on the same page. And then people were dead, and they were still contesting that inhib. Just give it up. If you've already lost the fight, you don't have the members to fight. They didn't have the front line in K-Pop. Juves would have been solo tank. Didn't have the Nethergrass, but they choose to fight it anyway and lose even more.
However, I think that even though that is the case, they've still put up a pretty good showing for a team that, I mean, brand new coming into this split. Not many veterans of the scene apart from Juves and really Praetor at this stage. So we'll see whether they can continue to battle.
They're
they
looking.
get the ultimate there onto
Braum.
Decoy. One more time, burning a lot onto him. But this time, he's a little bit squishier and will potentially fall. No, yes, he does fall down in the end. However, that's going to be Bedoink traded on the other side. Dream is free hitting on the back end of this team fight. You can see Praetor goes in, misses one more time. Juves continues to try and trace through, but Raid is just too big, and you can see he is really starting to take over. Realm Warp one more time, this time onto Dream. He is not long for the world. Double kill picked up for the Rock in the top. Juves, he's just going to try and waste some time, but really Nexus turrets are already under fire, and this will be a clean 2-0 for Legacy.
You said Dream was free hitting in that fight, but so was Claire and Raid on the other side, doing so much damage. Sin looking for the play. That was their opportunity, but they find it only onto Braum. He still gets to lock it off, gains a bit of time, and lands his CC for the rest of the team to arrive.
Yeah, it certainly does. So Legacy, game 2, definitely cleaner than game number 1. Will pick up their first sweep and join Order on the top of the table.
100% clean game there out of Legacy. Stave off the early game pressure that Sin tried to put out once again, but played it cool, played it calm, and in similar fashion, but cleaner fashion to game 1, they pick up the straight 2-0.
And I think that, you know, what we were talking about, the fact that Soulstrikes plays, his team plays a very low-risk style, a very wait and see what the enemy team is going to throw at you, then use reactionary tools, was apparent in that game and worked a treat.
And I mean, Braum is really at the crux of that. That's what he's best at, disengaging a fight, buying time, for your teammates to get there. And that's exactly what happened in that last team fight. It's exactly what was happening in those early bot engages. Decoy just doing so much there for his team and coming up trumps.
Even how instrumental the Realm Warp was in the early game to repel some of those ganks in the top lane.
Yeah, 100% agree there. Claire, looking good, I guess. Coming into this season. Last season, bit up and down, but definitely died to the early ganks in the first game, but second game looked looking pretty good.
Yeah, certainly did. Sin on your screen right there, you can see Dream as well as K-Pop. They had okay performances. I mean, this is kind of a tectonic situation for me where no one is got much expectation on Sin purely from an unknown basis. And I think today they play a pretty good style of League of Legends. With a couple of tweaks and cleanups, they will be an opponent.
I mean, I 100% agree. Early game is the hardest thing to fix, honestly. If you just lose in lane phase, then what are you going to do? Just your coach comes back after practice. It's like, okay, just be better players. Just lane better. Don't die during lane phase. And that wasn't really their problem. They had the early game down pat. They can just work on that, work on moving into mid game, into late game, and And if those slight tweaks that you're talking about, they could be successful towards the end of the year.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that as far as, players to watch, I mean, Dream and K-Pop down there in the bottom lane, they both looked pretty good. But it was how Juves was teaming up with Bedoink that should excite people, because Sin has been the most successful when their jungler and mid laner have the exact same idea.
Yep, 100%. Looking to get back on that same page there. And Bedoink, he's not someone you don't associate with Sin. He's been on Sin Academy on their B team times before. Last season, obviously, in the OCS, he was on Atletico and now made it onto the main roster of Sin, picking up the mid lane position, as you said, working with Juves. Room to grow. I
mean, potentially high expectations coming out of Legacy this split, with the backing of Adelaide. Did they do enough this game? What did you think about their overall stylistic gameplay?
I mean, overall, stylistically, I don't think there's much different. Obviously, they don't have the superstar AD carry this time in Lost, and that's where a lot of their play revolved around last season. So they have more options this split, but overall, they still play that reactive, slow early game, build up to mid game, and then crush you in late game style.
Yeah, and they were able to pick up the 2-0, which is all you can really do any week against any given opponent. But to break that game down a little bit further, let's throw it back to the analyst hangout.
Thank you, Jake. I'm back here with Destiny, and we've got a new face on the couch, the mid laner from Legacy, Claire. First of all, congratulations on starting the split with a 2-0 victory. What did you think of your team's performance today?
I think it was all right. I think it was an acceptable performance. I think we could have played cleaner. I expected us to play cleaner, especially from myself in that first game. I'm very disappointed, but I'm glad we pulled off the 2-0.
Destiny, you were saying that Legacy got a better draft in that bot lane from the get-go, getting Ezreal and Braum. Why is that?
I think Ezreal is definitely one of the strongest AD carries on the patch. Most of the counters to Ezreal are hyper carries, and that's usually Kog'Maw. When they banned away Kog'Maw, I think Ezreal becomes definitely a threat. So when Legacy first picked Braum, I expected Sin to respond with the Ezreal pick, but instead they picked Varus. So giving Ezreal Braum, they practically got two of the best bot lane champions. Braum at the moment, I think, is one of the best supports. And yeah, trading Varus Alistar for a rookie bot lane for Ezreal Braum just didn't seem worth for me. So yeah, I definitely think that Legacy, both games, had very good drafts.
And staying in that bot lane theme, how has it been for you, Claire, being able to play with Decoy and Raid? Because Raid popped off this series, and Soul Strikes was saying that he's been bringing a lot of joy to the team. Yeah,
so I think it's really refreshing to play with a full new roster. I'm actually really happy with how my teammates are performing, and I think there's going to be good things this split happening for Legacy. A lot of people are kind of looking at us and thinking we're maybe a bottom half of the ladder team, but I think we can definitely show them that, like, despite us having like rookies or players that haven't really proven themselves or they've been on lower tier teams, I think we can actually we can perform really well in the OPL. I think we can probably win it if everyone is playing their best. And I honestly, like, maybe this is like kind of flame, but I think the rest of the team's also downgraded across the OPL, so I think it's going to be an interesting split.
Now, the casters were saying that last split you were on Karma duty a lot, but do you think with this new lineup we're going to be seeing you a lot more on these mid carries?
You're definitely not going to see it as much, but I do enjoy playing those champions from time to time. I think Karma is strong in certain scenarios, so you'll definitely maybe see a game or two, but not as much.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us on the couch. Congratulations once again. But don't go anywhere, guys. We're going to go to a short break, but then we'll be back with our next series between the Bombers and Avant Gaming.
Hook shot off the wall, flashes, and he didn't chain it. One more auto attack will do it. First blood picked up for Juves. They don't go for him at all. I feel like it can just blow him up, and they try it in the end, and they get him. Now the team fight really has started. You can see K-Pop on the front line doing so much tanking. They flash forward onto Malphite. He's pretty tanky, fellas, but they do take him down. They bring in two additional members. Juves whiz the Hourglass and Decoy very low. They push Raid back, and now by himself, Claire is there. That's going to be, what, a 4-2 in the end? It's going to be a lot of people flashing forward, and Juves is just going to fall down. That means he's going to bait K-Pop one more time, and I don't think he's getting out of there. The chain CC is just so high. A double kill picked up for Raid. Juves continues to try and trace through, but Raid is just too big, and you can see he is really starting to take over. Realm Morph one more time, this time onto Dream. He is not long for the world. Double kill picked up for the Rock in the top. Juves, he's just going to try and waste some time, but really Nexus turrets are already under fire, and this will be a clean 2-0 for Legacy. Legacy game 2, definitely cleaner than game number 1. Will pick up their first sweep and join Order on the top of the table.